Hello. Do you want to play a game?
Halloween in the 2000s had a vibe nothing else can touch, especially the movies. You could argue that in the history of television, the 2000s had the best spooky movies ever made. From Mila Jovovich slicing through zombies to Samara crawling through your television, 2000s October nights felt like they belonged to horror. And today, we will relive 12 of those movies. Movies that gave us sleepless nights. Movies we'd still binge watch today. Number 1. American Psycho, 2000.
I'm into murders and executions mostly.
I had to kill a lot of people!
Every time Christian Bale shows up on screen in American Psycho, it gives you these chills I can't explain. He was the ultimate villain. So polished, yet unsettling. Patrick Bateman was everything Wall Street worshipped in the 80s, but in the 2000s, he became our horror icon. His morning routine was so precise it felt like a ritual. His smile so empty it chilled you. The business card scene will forever be iconic. Grown men comparing fonts and paperweight like their lives depended on it. And when Bateman snaps, it's brutal and absurd all at once. What makes it scarier is how charming he is right before the violence. That perfect mix of satire and horror set the decade's tone. But while Bateman made yuppies terrifying, Hogwarts gave us the most magical Halloween vibes of the decade. Number 2. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, 2001. I know, it's not horror, but you can't talk about spooky season in the 2000s without this one. The moment those jack-o'-lanterns floated above the Great Hall, you felt it. That warm, candlelit glow, and the pumpkins swaying in midair like the best Halloween party you were never invited to. And let's be real, a lot of us still throw this on every October just for that vibe. It's comfort cinema, cozy, witchy, and so tied to fall it feels like tradition now. Of course, there's the troll in the dungeon. A little scary when you were younger, but hilarious when you look back at it now. That's why Sorcerer's Stone belongs here. It might not haunt your dreams, but it built a whole aesthetic for Halloween lovers. And speaking of nightmares, the next one made every lonely highway feel like a death trap. Number 3. Jeepers Creepers, 2001. This one messed a lot of us up.
Jeepers Creepers.
That opening stretch of road and the low growl of that beat-up truck creeping behind were as scary can be. If you grew up in the 2000s, you probably tensed up every time a pickup rode too close in your rear view. That's the legacy of Jeepers Creepers. The creeper wasn't your classic monster. Not a vampire, not a zombie, something older, hungrier. That made it scarier because you couldn't put it in a box. And that truck? A 1941 Chevy modified to look like pure nightmare fuel. Honestly, half the terror came from those headlights bearing down on you. And if that wasn't enough, the next movie trapped us in a glass house where the monsters were already waiting. Number 4. 13 Ghosts, 2001.
Can I rely on you not to get me killed?
13 Ghosts felt like stepping into a haunted house built by someone who hated you. Glass walls, doors that slid shut with a hiss, and those etchings glowing like warnings you didn't want to understand. Every angle showed you just enough to know something was standing there, watching. What made it unforgettable were the ghosts themselves. Each one had a twisted backstory, and you could tell. The Juggernaut, the Angry Princess, the Jackal. Horror fans still debate which one was the creepiest. And let's be honest, the makeup was so gnarly it sticks in your head even 2 decades later. It wasn't subtle, it was loud, chaotic, and gory. But that's why it worked. It looked and felt like Halloween night gone wrong. And if being trapped in a glass mansion wasn't terrifying enough, the next film made even you scared of touching your own TV. Number 5. The Ring, 2002. The cursed tape. The phone ringing the second you watched it, and that image burned into everyone's memory. Samara crawling out of the TV like the rules of reality just broke. The Ring wasn't just scary. It was a cultural event. Suddenly, every VHS tape felt suspicious, and static on your screen didn't feel harmless anymore. The vibe of that movie was ice cold. Gore Verbinski shot it so everything looked drained of warmth, like life itself had left the frame. And Naomi Watts, she played terror so well you felt it crawling under your skin too. What gets me even now is how simple the horror was. Just a girl, her hair and her face soaked from the well. That image alone haunted an entire generation. All while Samara crawled through televisions, the next film gave us zombie dogs, laser corridors, and one unforgettable woman in a red dress. Number 6. Resident Evil, 2002.
Resident Evil.
There are a few images from the 2000s that just define Halloween for me. Mila Jovovich in that red dress is one of them. She's the hottest zombie killer you'd ever see on your screen. But the fun part? She's just as vicious. While Resident Evil has a lot of unforgettable moments, the zombie dog scene really did it for me. If you saw this in theaters, you probably felt the entire row jolt when those glass windows shattered. But nothing tops the laser corridor. That scene was brutal. You knew it was coming. But the way it sliced through that squad still makes people wince. Resident Evil wasn't subtle. It was loud, slick, and it knew exactly what it wanted to be. Survival horror with style. And it worked. It launched a franchise, turned Mila into a genre queen, and gave every Halloween marathon a shot of adrenaline. But if Resident Evil was stylish chaos, the next film was pure grime and madness. Rob Zombie's House of Horrors. Number 8. House of a Thousand Corpses, 2003.
House of a Thousand Corpses.
This movie didn't just creep you out, it made you feel like you'd stumbled into the wrong roadside attraction and couldn't find the exit. The neon lights of Captain Spaulding's gas station, the twisted laughter, the sense that everyone in that place was in on the joke except you. Rob Zombie's debut was messy and chaotic, and that's exactly why it worked. Universal actually shelved it for being too much, which only added to its legend. By the time Lionsgate released it, fans were hungry for something this raw. It wasn't polished horror, it was sticky, loud, and grotesque. The kind of movie that leaves you uncomfortable, but also kind of grinning because you survived the ride. And if that carnival of madness didn't break you, the next one made a simple sound absolutely unforgettable. Number 8. The Grudge, 2004. That sound, you know the one. That awful croak that seems to crawl right up from your own throat the second you try to mimic it. The Grudge gave us one of the most haunting sounds in horror history, and it's still stuck in our heads 2 decades later. Sarah Michelle Gellar walking through that Tokyo house was peak 2000s horror energy. The hand reaching out of the hair, the staircase crawl. Every image felt designed to mess with your brain. And because Takashi Shimizu shot it in Japan, it didn't look or feel like the haunted houses we'd grown up with. It felt foreign, unsettling, and that made it worse. The Grudge didn't just scare you while you watched it, it followed you home. Suddenly, your own house didn't feel safe. And just when we thought horror couldn't get more disturbing, a puppet on a tricycle rolled in and changed the decade. Number 9. Saw 2004 and sequels. You never forget the first time you saw that bathroom. The dirty tiles, the chains, and then Billy the puppet rolling in on a tricycle, looking like he'd just been waiting for you. Saw hit different. It wasn't just gore for gore's sake. It felt like a challenge, like Jigsaw was daring you to look away while whispering, "I want to play a game." The reverse bear trap, the needles, the shotgun carousel. Even now, fans still argue about which trap was most brutal. And that's the thing. These movies didn't just scare you, they made you imagine what you would do. That's why the franchise owned every Halloween for the rest of the decade. Shot on a tiny budget in less than 3 weeks, Saw exploded into a juggernaut because it knew exactly how to mess with us. And we loved it. But if Jigsaw chained us in place, the next movie buried us alive in the dark. Number 10. The Descent, 2005. If you've ever felt your chest tighten just looking at a crawl space, this movie probably ruined caves for you forever. The Descent wasn't content with jump scares. It trapped us in rock and dirt until we could practically feel the air running out. 6 women dropping into the earth, squeezing through gaps so narrow you swore your ribs hurt just watching. And then, when the creatures finally showed up, it almost felt like a relief, until you realized they were faster, hungrier, and hunting in their own backyard. The biggest debate about this movie since it came out is the ending. You know, UK fans got one version, US fans got another, and to this day, people argue over which was crueler. Honestly, I think the original version was more depressing and fitting of the story, but the American version wasn't bad either. You could say both were perfect in their own twisted ways. The Descent gave us claustrophobia, monsters, and despair all rolled into one. It was pure nightmare fuel. You can't watch it and sleep the same. And if that wasn't enough, the next film swallowed an entire town in fog and ash. Number 11, Silent Hill, 2006. Silent Hill felt less like a movie and more like a nightmare you couldn't wake up from. That ash falling from the sky, the town swallowed in fog so thick you almost wanted to wipe the screen. It wasn't just unsettling, it was hypnotic. And then came Pyramid Head, dragging that giant blade like it weighed the whole world. Every step he took made your stomach sink lower. The creatures in this movie weren't random scares. They looked like they crawled right out of your worst dreams, stitched together with guilt and pain. Director Christoph Gans fought for years to bring the game to life, and you can feel that obsession in every frame. Fans still argue about the plot, but no one denies the imagery. Silent Hill was pure, disturbing atmosphere. And just when you thought the decade had peaked, a tiny budget film reminded us that the scariest things are the ones you almost don't see. Number 12, Paranormal Activity, 2007. Sometimes the scariest movies don't show you much at all. Paranormal Activity proved that. A bedroom, a camera, a door moving just a little too far on its own. That was enough to send people running out of theaters. It was filmed in Oren Peli's own house on a shoestring budget, and yet it terrified the world. No flashy monsters, no elaborate gore, just silence that stretched too long, and shadows you swore you saw moving. The kind of fear that follows you home and makes you stare at your own bedroom door at 3 a.m. And when that ending hit, people lost it. Word of mouth spread like wildfire. Suddenly, this tiny film had turned into a global obsession. Paranormal Activity was the perfect closer for the 2000s. Proof that sometimes the things you barely see are the ones that stay with you forever. So yeah, spooky season in the 2000s just hit different. We had yuppies with axes, cursed videotapes, glass houses packed with spirits, laser corridors, Rob Zombie carnivals, croaking ghosts, and bedroom doors that refused to stay shut. It was stylish, gory, claustrophobic, sometimes absurd, and every bit unforgettable. These weren't just movies, they were memories. The kind that comes back every October when the air gets colder and the nights feel longer. So tell me, what's the one 2000s scare that still lives rent-free in your head? Drop it in the comments because I know you've got one. And if you're going to be binge-watching any one of these 12 movies, leave us a like and subscribe to our channel. We've got plenty of nostalgia coming your way.